Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I am Queen and this is Jenny's Crowns. So today we'll be drafting a bustier blouse with yoke. You can choose to make yours without the yoke. Okay, so as you can see on my pattern paper, I have my lines already there. So this is my shoulder line. So from my shoulder line to my bust point is 10 inches. So from my bust point to my under bust is 13 inches. Then to my waistline is 17 inches. My waistline is actually 16 inches, but I added 1 inch just to make it a bit longer. So this is my shoulder, my bust point, under bust, and half length. So I'm using half length. This is also my waistline. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do here is to pull down our neckline, but before then I'm going to divide what I have on my shoulder. My shoulder is 15 inches divided by 2 is 7.5 inches. Then my neckline, I'm using the basic neckline, which is 3 inches width. Then the depth is also 3 inches. Okay, so I'm going to connect this line using my curve. So you can use your free hand if you do not have this curve. Just make it visible. Okay, so from my shoulder here, I'm going to come down by 1 inch for my shoulder slope, then connect it to the neckline with a straight line. Then from this point, I'm going to come down for my armhole. My armhole measurement is my round bust measurement divided by 6 plus 1.5 inches. So you can do that to get yours. Use your own measurement. So mine is 7.5 inches. Then I'm going to come over here to measure. So what I have at my shoulder and this point here will be the same. So I'm going to connect this with a straight line. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead to extend this line over there. So connect with a straight line here. Go ahead and label this as your chest line. Alright, the next thing I'm going to do is to get our armhole curve. So I'm going to divide what I have here by 2 and mark it. I'm going to come in by 0.5 inch, then connect this point. Then I'll put my round bust measurement divided by 4 here. Then I'm going to connect these 3 points like this using my curve rule. So I'm going to be using the marker so you'll see the curve. So the reason why I went in by 0.5 inches to give us that curve, because this is the front pattern. Divide your nipple to nipple measurement by 2 and mark it on the bust point, under bust and waistline. Then connect with a straight line. Your nipple to nipple measurement is the measurement from one nipple to the other divided by 2 and mark it here. So from the bust point, come down by 1 inch. This is to prevent any sharp point on the bust line. So for my dart intake, I'll be making use of 2 inches. So if you're a bigger person, go ahead and use 2.5 inches, but make sure that you use a smaller portion of the dart intake for the part coming towards the center. So for me, I'm going to be using 0.5 inch on this part coming towards the center on the under bust and also on the waistline. Then I'll connect it with a straight line. So make sure that whatever you're using, make sure that the part coming towards the center is smaller than the part going towards the outer side. Or you can choose to use 1 inch on both sides. Some people use 1 inch on both sides. So now I'm going to come out here by 1.5 inches, giving me a total of the 2 inches that intake I want. So I'm going to mark it on the under bust and also on the waistline, then connect with a straight line. So there are several ways to draft your bustiers. So this is one way. Okay, so now I'm going to measure what I have here just to be sure, and I have a total of 2 inches rather, because I used 1.5 inch for the outer part and 0.5 inch for the part going towards the center. Then connect to the bust line with your curve like this. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do here, we're going to be cutting this off. Remember, we don't need this part, we'll be cutting it off. So go ahead and divide what you have at your shoulder by 2. Whatever you have, divide it by 2. Then connect to the bust point with your ruler. Now this line will not be perfectly straight, it will be a bit slanted. Just go ahead and rule it. Okay. Now the next one we're going to do, which is optional for you, is to determine where you want your curve, because we're going to be creating our sweetheart neckline. So from my shoulder point, I'm coming down by 6.5 inches. You might choose to use 7 inches, 8 inches, as the case may be, or you might just choose to come up from your bust point with maybe 2 inches, 1.5. Do whatever you want to do, just play around with your neckline. So now I came down from this shoulder point by 6.5 inches. So I'm just going to rule it with a straight line here. The reason why I'm doing this is so there can be a bit more coverage for the bustier. So for my overall bust tightening, I'll be making use of 1 inch on the side and 1 inch on the side coming towards the center. That is, I'm using 1 inch on both sides, giving me a total of 2 inches. Okay, you can choose to use 0.5 inch on both sides if you're not too busty. Okay, but I'm making use of 1 inch on both sides. Then I'm going to connect with my curve towards the bust point. So use your curve to get that curve. Okay, then let me blend here. So to create our sweetheart neckline, you can choose to come up from your bust point by maybe 2 inches, 1.5 inches, 1 inch, depending on what you want. So I'm going to come down from this line here by 1.5 inches. So I'll connect it with my curve. So you can choose to use a square neckline. So for the square neckline, you don't need to come down to create a sweetheart neckline. So let me blend here so you will see. So I'm connecting this to the armhole. Okay, now something very important before you go ahead to connect this, make sure that the lines are equal. All right, the lines are equal. Let me mark what I have here. Well, I'm marking down 1.5 inch my sweetheart neckline. So before you connect it, this is something that is very small but of great importance. Go ahead and mark your lines. I almost forgot, because if you don't do this, you will end up with one part shorter and one part longer. So I will measure what I have here towards the bust point. What I have is 4 inches. So I'm going to measure what I have here, and what I have here is 3.5 inch. You might think that 3.5 inches, you might think that 0.5 is too small, but it's very significant. So just go ahead and make this up to 4 inches like the other parts, then go ahead and connect my sweetheart neckline. So if you don't understand this, please go ahead and watch this video again. All right, so now we're going to be cutting off this part. Okay, so I'm just going to blend this in. For those who want to use the yoke part, so blend this in so it will also help you when you're cutting. just smoothing in this part. There we have it. So the next thing we're going to do now is to put in our measurements, right? So my round bust measurement divided by 4 is 9. Then I measure what I have on my dart, then I replace it here. Then I'm going to also put in my sewing allowance, which is 1 inch. You can choose to use 1.5 inches, 2 inches, as the case may be. Then I'm also going to place the same measurement here on my bust point. Then I'll go to my waistline. Please, the HL here is not for hip line, it's half length, which is also my waistline. I'm going to divide what I have on my round waist by 4 inches, then mark it. Then measure my dart intake here, which is 2 inches, then mark it here, plus my 1 inch sewing allowance, then mark it here. So I'm going to connect these points with my ruler like this. So first of all, the first line I'll be marking here is the actual measurement, my actual measurement. Then the second line is my sewing allowance, so that we don't get it twisted. Okay, so I'm going to use my marker so you see this. So then I'm going to label it as my allowance, just so I remember. So now this is what we have. You can choose to use this neckline or make it a V neckline, or you can choose to just ignore this part and use only this part. Just play around with your pattern just to get the best out of it. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this. Now when you're cutting on your actual fabric, please remember to add your sewing allowance. Okay, so this is my center front and my side front. So go ahead and continue your cutting. So for those people who want to use the yoke part, you can see the way we have drafted it. With this, you can be able to make a bustier without the yoke or a bustier with the yoke. I forgot to mention that this is on a fold. This pattern paper is actually on a fold. So go ahead and cut out the dart. Go ahead and label your yoke. This is a front yoke. So your front pattern should look like this. This is the center part. This is the side part. You can choose to notch it on your fabric when you cut on your fabric. So this is the second part. Let me label it center, side, front rather. So this is what the front pattern should look like. Now to cut the back part, I've already gone ahead to draw my lines like I did. So this is my shoulder line, bust point and waistline. We don't need the under bust for the back. This is my bust point and half length, that's my waistline. This is my shoulder. Then from the zipper line here, I'm going to go in by 3 inches for my neck width and 1.5 inches for my neck depth. Connect it or extend it to the zipper region. Then use your curve rule to get this curve part, then extend the line across the zipper allowance. Okay, so I'm going to divide my shoulder by 2 and mark whatever I have here. Mine is 7.5 inches. Then come down by 1 inch for shoulder slope, then connect to the neck line. Mind you that the neckline for the back and the front should be the same, that is the neck width. Then put down your armhole measurement. Mine is 7.5 inches. Then I'm going to make sure what I have here goes with the measurement at the shoulder. Then I'll mark it here. Then connect with a straight line. Now for the back, I'm going to extend the chest line all the way to the center. So go ahead and label this your chest line. So I'm going to put down my armhole curve, but before that, divide your round bust measurement by 4 and mark it. Then for the armhole, mark whatever you have here as a midpoint. We're not going to come in by 0.5 inch. No, this is the back, remember. So I'm just going to connect from that point like this. So you can see the difference between the back armhole and the front armhole. Okay, now I'm going to put down my nipple to nipple measurement divided by 2 on the chest line, the bust line, and the waistline. For the front pattern, we placed our nipple to nipple measurement from the bust line down to the waistline, but for the back, we're going to place it from the chest line down to the waistline. Okay, now let me make this a bit visible. So at the waistline, I'm going to go out on both sides by 0.5 inch, just your basic back bodice. Then from the chest line, come down by 1 inch. We do not want any pointiness at the chest line. That's all came down by 1 inch. So I'm going to connect this dot to that point. So mind you, let me extend it to this so you can see. We won't have any need for this dot, so we're cutting it off or folding it in. All right. Now you can choose to play around with your neckline as usual. You can use the V neckline, or you can choose to just be creative with your neckline for the back. You can choose to come down from the neckline here by 1.5 inches or 2 inches, then place your curve rule to mark it to get that opening at the back. But for me, I want my back to be like this, but with a little bit of twist. So I want to have this curvy back neckline here. So I'm just going to place my curve here just to get that curve, a little bit of curve at the back. So you can choose to use this or just do whatever you want to do with your back pattern. To do the back yoke, so I'm going to put in my round measurements. So my round bust measurement divided by 4, I'm going to mark it on the chest line, also on the bust point, then with my 1 inch stitching allowance. Then my round waist measurement divided by 4, I'm going to replace the dot here. Then I'm going to add my 1 inch stitching allowance and connect those points. Okay, so like I did for the back, for the front, I'm going to first of all rule my actual measurement. Then I'm going to go ahead to rule my allowance, and then label it as allowance. Let me extend this, then label it as your allowance, just so you're not confused. This is 1 inch allowance. Then for the zipper part, to avoid any zipper bulge, I'm going to, you can decide to mark your, do this. There are 2 ways to do this. You can decide to come in from your waistline by ½ inch, then mark your total zipper allowance from that point. Okay, but for me, I'm going to just mark the 0.5 inch out away from the 2 inches already left for my zipper allowance, then connect it. Hope you understand. Just watch closely. So I went ahead to remove ½ inch from my 2 inches zipper allowance. So what I have is 1.5 here. I'm going to connect it all the way to the neckline if possible. Just make sure you connect it. You can see that that waistline is a bit more defined. So this is what the back looks like. So I'm going to extend this line here to the zipper part. Okay, so go ahead and cut your back pattern. So after cutting your back pattern, this is what it should look like. You can choose to fold in the dart area like this. Make sure you fold it properly. It's not going to just lay flat like that. You have to make it lay flat. You can choose to use your pins or your masking tape or whatever tape you have. So it's best to use a tape. This is what you should have when you're done. So this is the back piece. So if you've watched up to this point, please subscribe to my channel, like this video, leave a comment, click on notification bell so you get notified when I upload new videos, and please share this video so others can learn. Until next time, bye.